Shanti, how are you all? In today's video, we are going to see about an incident where goddess Parvati takes God Shiva in her lap and feed her with milk. So obviously he was a kid while she was doing that. And that particular incident has a great significance which nobody is aware of. So that is what we are going to reveal through this video. And also there is another incident in Mahabharata where God Krishna in his childhood he was feeding from a satanic girl called Putana, and while drinking milk he actually sucks out the blood from her body and makes her dead. So these two incidents have more thing in common and conveys the same message, and that message is what we are going to deal in very detail. As I always mention in many of my previous videos that many different stories point to the same message, and these two incidents I recently mentioned belongs to that category. So whoever feeds her baby, it obviously means that she should be the mother of that baby. So but we all know Putana is not the actual mother of Lord Krishna, neither Parvati is the mother of God Shiva, because Parvati is her wife and Putana is the demon girl that came to kill him. So what is the message actually here? We should understand that it actually implies that what happened in this first story is there was a demon called Tarak, and he was doing great tapas, and Brahma appeared before him and he granted him a boon, saying that he can never be killed by anybody other than a girl. On listening to this, Tarak was obviously very happy because he knows for sure that no girl can kill him because he's a demon. But what happened after that is he started conquering heaven, and he put all the deities into trouble and also put all sages into trouble. So they all went to Lord Krishna and asked for help. He said that we should visit Brahma. When they visited Brahma, Brahma let them know that it was him who granted him that boon. So only way out is God Shiva. So they all went to God Shiva, and God Shiva, on saying his counterpart Parvati mingled with God Shiva and they became so powerful. Then through his third eye there came a ball of fire from which goddess Kali emerged, and she went with full fury and killed Tarak along with all his companions. But even after killing all the enemies, she didn't have her anger under control. So everything around her began to catch fire. So on seeing this, everybody is afraid to even go near her. Then God Shiva took a form of a baby, and he was on the path of her, and she was crying. On seeing the baby crying, out of nowhere, Goddess Parvati started getting this sense of motherhood. So she took the child on her lap and started breastfeeding the child. So God Shiva was actually drinking anger along with milk. So after that, she became very calm. That is the story of Goddess Parvati feeding her husband, God Shiva. And in the story of God Krishna, while he was a baby, a demon girl called Putana, she breastfed God Krishna after poisoning her breast, thinking that it would kill God Krishna. But what happened actually was he sucked all the blood out of her, so finally she died. So that's the story. So when you see both of the stories, you don't see much similarity except that God Shiva and God Krishna was breastfed. That's it, right? But now we have to say that neither that demon girl nor Goddess Parvati were mothers to those children. But still, it is because she felt her motherhood that she started taking that God Shiva on her lap and breastfed him. So she obviously have become the mother of God Shiva at that particular point. Similarly, though her intention was to kill Lord Krishna, Putana actually was sort of mother during the time she breastfed Lord Krishna. But none of these things actually happened. None of the things that is written in any Vedas actually happened. But it is in a story form that points to a spiritual truth or secret. That's what we are going to reveal now. That secret, that particular incident that I mentioned, they all point to the fact that we have to consider God to be a kid, to be our child. So that is the message that we derive from these two stories combinedly. So what is the result? Why should we consider God as our child, and what is the benefit of that? That is what one tends to ask. The reason we need to consider God as a child is actually we can consider God as any relation. We can consider him as our father, as our lover, as our brother, also as our kid. And the difference between considering God as our child from all other relations is, of course, lovers, they can be very intimate, but still there are times when a lover cannot remember his beloved, but that's not the case with the kid, because the mother always remember her child, because the child, it depends totally on his mother. So it doesn't even know to say that it is hungry. So it is the responsibility of the mom to take care of the child. She has to pay much attention to when the child actually gets hungry, and what are the challenges that the child faces. So she will be having the constant attention towards her child no matter where she is. Even if she has to purchase something in the nearby shop, her mind will be totally on his on her child, because she would be wondering whether the child will be awake by now, whether the child is safe now. So her mind is totally on her child. So that's the only relation that demands constant attention. That is why we need to consider God as our child, so that we will be thinking of God constantly. And that is very essential, especially at this particular point of time, that is the end of Kali Yuga, because the world is filled with difficulties, pain, sufferings. The only way to safeguard ourselves is by remembrance of God. So remembering God gives us enormous strength to face everything, and also to it act as a protective covering that protects us from the environment that is filled with pain and suffering. And now, before that, we need to understand how God looks like. Only then we can remember, right? So far, in no religion is there any mention of the appearance of God. Only God can reveal about his true identity, and he has revealed because God has arrived. So he comes towards the end of Kali Yuga. In the last 100 years, he comes and reveals this truth about the world cycle. The world cycle consists of 5,000 years. In the first half of that cycle, which is called Kalpa, in the first half cycle, it was called heaven, and the second half is hell. So we are actually souls that exist like a tiny star in between our eyebrows. So the souls, before taking birth as humans, exist in this place called the Supreme Abode or Parandam. God himself is residing here. The only difference between God, that is the Supreme Soul, and us, the souls, is we take birth, thereby we take rebirth. God doesn't take birth in a womb like us. Instead, he comes in the end to this world by entering an old man's body directly. He doesn't take birth like us. So he comes in the end to reveal the truth that the world was heaven in the beginning. That's how he created this world. And he also created us as deities, whom Hindus worship till date. We were originally deities in the beginning, and after taking several rebirths for the first 2500 years, then we start taking birth as ordinary humans. So both humans and deities, they look the same. The only difference is they look more beautiful, they had very good characters, and they were filled with powers. They can make anything happen just by having a thought of it. For example, if they want it to rain, they can make it rain in an instant of thinking about it. So that's the kind of power they possess. The reason they lost that power while coming to hell is they become body conscious. While in heaven they were soul conscious, as they considered themselves to be souls continuously. But after the completion of first 2500 years, they forgot that they were souls. Instead, they wrongly considered themselves to be this perishable body, because of which they become slaves for the sensual pleasures. because of which they became slaves for anger, greed, attachment, lust, and ego. So these five vices are called Ravan or Satan or Satan. So these five vices, they present both in men and women. They were combinedly called the 10-headed Ravan. Other than that, there were no human with 10 heads as mentioned in Ramayana, because as I already mentioned, nothing actually happened as mentioned in any Puranas, any religious books. They all represent to the things that happen within us while we are making effort as per the direction of God that He gives in the last 100 years, which is called the confluence age. God says, in hell you have been suffering a lot because of you becoming slaves to these five vices, because these five vices, they will inevitably give pain, pain, pain. So to come out of it, all we need to do is we have to consider ourselves again as souls. In addition to that, we have to remember God also as a point of light, because He is also a point of light soul. So we have to remember Supreme Soul as a point of light in the golden red colored light world, because that is how this Parandam looks like. The more we remember God as a point of light, after considering ourselves to be the souls that is entirely different from this body, we will have our sins washed off gradually. The more we think of God, the more our sins will be wiped out and we will become pure as before, as in the beginning. So to the extent that we become pure, so there is a greater chance of us claiming greater status in the kingdom, in the heaven, in the beginning itself. But if you don't remember that much, then your sins will remain unwashed. So you won't be taking birth in the beginning. Instead, you will be taking birth after a while, so that you would have to miss the chance of enjoying heaven fully. So that's a kind of punishment. So now we have to remember God constantly to get all our sins washed off. So for that, in addition to remember Him as a point of light, also we need to establish a good relationship with God. So we can have father-child relationship or husband-wife relationship or any relationship. So the best one would be to consider Him as our child, so that we can pay attention constantly towards God. For example, if you have a child, you wouldn't take food on your own, right? Before taking food, you would first feed your child. Only after that, you would start taking food for yourself. Likewise, when you are taking food, you would be automatically reminded of feeding your child, in this case our God Shiva. So actually he doesn't have a body, so he wouldn't feel hungry at all. But this is just a technique for remembering God continuously. That's it. And that is exactly these two stories that I mentioned in the beginning actually points to. So we are considering God as our child. And what is the benefit of that? These five vices, they get burnt and we become as pure as God, so that we can be born as deities again in the next kalpa. Because the significance of this kalpa cycle is whatever happens in one kalpa, that keeps repeating kalpa after kalpa. For example, to make it very easy, what if you are watching this video right now, it obviously means you have watched this video 5000 years back on this very same day, and you will be watching the same video after 5000 years on the very same day. So that's how accurately it repeats. And that is the reason in this story, after breastfeeding God Shiva, her anger gets reduced and finally she becomes calm. Similarly, while breastfeeding Lord Krishna, Putana dies, which means Putana is nobody outside us, it is us. It is the devilish characteristics that is within us that gets killed while we engage ourselves in the remembrance of God Shiva as a point of light. That is what these two stories denote. So in addition to remembering God as a point of light, we also have to listen to the knowledge of God daily, and that knowledge is called Murli. It is being taught in all Raj Yoga meditation centers that is spread throughout the globe. To get the address of the Raj Yoga meditation centers in your area, you can leave me a message in this WhatsApp number, or you can leave me a SMS +919894671743. Also, you can type in English Murli, or any language that you belong to. You can type that language followed by Murli. Then you can say the Murli in your own language in YouTube. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit on like and leave your valuable comment. And also don't forget to share this video with your friends and relatives. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe and hit on that notification bell, followed by hitting on all, so that you can be notified of all our upcoming videos. Om Shanti. Thanks again for watching, and thank you God for helping me giving this video. Om Shanti.